I think I speak for everyone here when I say that we have all learned a lot from what the German community did, and I'm just going to highlight some of the things that you spoke about. It's about, back to what Prof said, it's about knowing the people in your community and knowing what who can do, identifying those that have integrity to handle certain positions, and thereby avoiding or mitigating certain risks that might occur, right? And also, the fact that you guys were able to form an umbrella organization in Germany that encompasses all the regional organizations that you have there was really brilliant. So I must commend the German community for that. First, I must commend them for staying true to the flag and to the flag only, which is basically what we should all be doing, and ensuring that people keep their specific group affiliations outside of what the German community as a community is trying to achieve. That is really commendable. I think that one of the lessons that you have pointed out that we all need to look into and replicate across board is the SWOT analysis. Often we have problems, and we talk through them, but in passing. And what has led us down is we do not sit down and do an in-depth SWOT analysis to kind of find solutions to those threats or weaknesses that we have, because if we identify our strengths and our opportunities, then we need to find solutions to our weaknesses and our threats and try to cover the loop. And German community having done that, that was very much commendable to start with. In every revolution, right? Just like you say, it happened in Germany. In every revolution, there are always distractors. There are always confusionists. There are always opportunists. And when you have firm structures like you do, the truth again is that these ones will fall off. That's the normal trend in revolutions. Distractors, opportunists, and confusionists will fall off at some point because your structures do not just allow them to have their way like they thought they're gonna try to. So again, great vision there by German community, and the fact that you did educate your constituency on what the revolution is about, what to expect, and the information filtering, which is very essential for one, our sanity, and two, for the way we move forward, is extremely important. So I really want to thank you guys for that. And I think to just the icing on the cake there would be the rotatory structure that you have in place, ensuring that there is a baseline from which every leadership team is going to work from, and not every leadership team coming with its own vision and try to start things from afresh, because that causes a whole lot of chaos. Is very important. But thank you, Comrade Dr. Njibamu. Powerful, I think you had a question you wanted to ask or a comment you wanted to make?
Oh, yes, no, I just wanted to commend Dr. Njibamu. He talked about the container they sent. We also here in Boston, we sent a container, and today that container just disappeared in air. Growing pains, and that all those things can only fortify us and to work hard to improve and know the various people that we deal with. So Dr. Njibamu, what you people experience there is it's across the board. Everyone has a story that they have gone through, but we never give
What is happening?
Remember, our receiving end is not a very friendly party. I mean, if you're sending those containers to Nigeria, they're not a very friendly party as well. So those are some of the things to consider. So if you want to contribute to what our three honorable guests have said so far, also feel free to do that. And I'm expecting every one of us, because we're part of communities. If there are challenges that we face, let's bring them up and see how we can work on them. So who wants to be the first to take the mic?
Please, may I say something?
Sure, go ahead, Pafro.
I would really like also to pose a question that we in the diaspora, we are married to the various communities that host us, and they are also married to our sons and daughters. Wouldn't it be wise that we form a powerful alliance with all our in-laws and the people who are hosting us, so that if a good example is, just imagine if a foreigner goes to Mancon and is going to see the fund, do you think that foreigner will walk straight and see the fund? That foreigner will be led by a Chinda who is the son or daughter of the land. So if we can organize and mobilize, and even we know that food rallies people together, and that most of all our in-laws, they like our cultural regalia. When we organize anything, you see how proud they come there to manifest and celebrate our culture. Could we not really use this power that we have in the house? And they themselves are willing, because they are grandparents of the Amazonian sons. If we bring them in, they would be the ones who will lead us and open doors for us to meet the politicians, the media, because they themselves are related. So, but when I see that we haven't done our homework, we rush to go and meet a politician and stand and take pictures. And if you haven't done your homework, what a politician looking for is to see whether you have people behind you, because he's counting the number of votes. I would suggest that with all the intellectual and all the knowledge from our culture, as Dr. Jibamu mentioned, everything starts in the village. We have this in us and our culture coming in the West. We don't need to, or we don't need someone to teach us. We just need to go back to our roots and see where, how we can bring this skills, village skill, and mobilize the diaspora.
Thank you, Pafro Jimbeng. I think that is a strategy worth noting by those that have taken charge to do this, and so we can communicate it. And to all of us that are listening, we don't need anyone to help us do this. So let's start mobilizing and having these conversations with the in-laws and beyond, and see where what doors we can get opened with those. So that's a very, very important point there. Dr. Foster, I see your hand is up.
Yes, Jesse, and Pafro, Dr. Jibabum, Prof. Anyangwe, and all the participants. Good morning, good afternoon. Some of us are waking up, so our voice is still a little bit cranky. But great conversations, great discussions, and I'm very happy because charity begins at home. I think if we go back to 2016, when it all started on ground zero, we saw different cells and different talents being mobilized. Whether it was the Bayam Salams in our different markets, we had their representatives. Whether it was the teachers, we had their representatives. Whether it was the lawyers, we had their representatives. And that's how the ground, or even the parliamentarians, we had our representative, Pawiba. Community-wise, we had Mancho BBC. And so almost every facet of our community was involved in that groundswell. We try to replicate that in the diaspora with the different communities, different regions having different cells, but we lost it at some point. So charity begins at home. For some of the things that Pafro said to be effective, and some of the things that Prof. Anyangwe said to be effective, we need to go back to that mobilization. Dr. Jibamom is right. With the coffin revolution, it wasn't only on the ground, but it was replicated across regions and capitals in the world. There was a coffin in Canada, a coffin in Germany, a coffin in New York, and a coffin everywhere we went. And it showed solidarity. So we have to go back to our organization and doing this. Also, my trip to Boya had some level of successful fundraising, because we're also organized and had those cells and those structures that could lead to financial contributions. My fear is we've run away from that, and then we are mostly on social media, we're mostly on WhatsApp platforms, and sharing unverifiable messages that only seek to confuse us. My greatest proposal is we limit what WhatsApp performances. I think we also have to educate each and everyone to say, why would you belong to more than 5 Ambazonia diaspora or WhatsApp groups? Maybe it's time we restrict ourselves to a professional group, where your talent is best practice. Maybe a nationalist group, if you want to belong to one of the nationalist movements. A group that I call it LGO county group, because that's where the implementation is occurring. You can directly verify information back and forth when it's done to come back. And a diaspora group, which Prof calls the cells, and the cells grow up to call what Dr. Njimabu calls the Southern Cameroon's Germany community. I really think we have to go back towards those structures. There is apathy because of the confusion, and that confusion doesn't get help on social media. So we have to get away from that. And then use every opportunity to keep sensitizing ourselves. Not only Pafru made mention of the city of Lowell and a relationship that has been built over 20 years. We have to start somewhere, but knowing that we don't have 20 years to build, it's in a way also difficult to build when you are in need immediately. When he built those structures, it's nice to recognize that we weren't a beggar on anybody's table. So it allowed an equal foundation for those structures to be built. We may not replicate such success because we have an immediate ask and an immediate need, instead of building on a friendship level that becomes a friend in need. We just built as a friend in need, and in the future it became a friend in need. So those are some of the challenges. I love Dr. Jibabum's made mention of the SWOT analysis, and I think we don't do that enough. We need to do it more. Other thing is, whenever we have leadership, we have to establish a transitional structure whereby at every opportunity we are assigning a baton. There has to be a date or a period where we have to review, because if we don't create that, then we break down in continuity. So thanks for the opportunity to be up early and to be to be involved in this great exchange of information over a year.
You're welcome, Dr. Foster. I promise you the next time we're going to wake you up at 4 a.m. If that's okay. But great points there. Comrade Derric, your hand is up, and I think you have about 2 minutes to go.
Thank you, Comrade JC. I want to say I'm really thankful for all our guest speakers for enlightening us and just reminding us of things that we are supposed to do anyway. I think the last 5 years, we've run the revolution in an emotional drive. It was what was happening at home. It was making all of us angry. And with the anger, we just went on some sort of emotional overdrive. And it was what it was. The last 3 years, and the confusion came in, and it demotivated everybody. I think what we are trying to do now to rebuild rationally, thinking and processing things, is the right way to go. So opening this workshops to just re-engage our communities globally, it's really the first step. And people need to take this to their communities. You have heard Dr. Njibamu, despite all the things that they happen, their community in Germany understood that there is home, Amazonia, it needs to be free, and they cannot stand on the same place because a container disappeared. They need to keep organizing, and they need to keep supporting Ground Zero. So we have communities that have challenges. You can invite the comrades from Germany to come to your community and do SWATs with you, teach you how they did, how they forgave each other for the mistakes that were made. Nobody before 2017 went to some sort of training and trained themselves to be prepared for this struggle. It just came and it met all of us, and everybody jumped in with their best intention. Hence, at times we're like, oh, let this person be a leader, and then the person goes and becomes something else. But we have learned, now we know better, we know each other better, and really reorganizing now it's an opportunity because we know ourselves now. Every community, we know people who are upright, people know people who've got a straight up forward track record. So I'm really grateful for the insights that they've shared, and praying that when we call on them to come to other workshops, or if other communities reach out that they want to organize something similar for their communities to bring themselves together, let our guests, be ready to do that service to our communities, because indeed we need to rebuild our various communities around the world. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you so much, Comrade Derric. I wish I could circle back to that, but we have a few minutes to go. Comrade Collins, I see your hand is up. If you don't mind, I'm going to give you just a minute because we need to close this on the dot. Comrade Collins.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I'll just cut it a little bit short. And thank you for the opportunity. And thank you to Pa Kimbeng and Professor Carlson and Yangwei and Dr. Jibam for their information they've shared with us so far to enlighten and help to mobilize the grassroots. I will just try to make it short and cut it to the point. We should look at it, the revolution somehow, not just for Amazonia, but for some type of a way, something that relates us Black people, because it is the world these days is just about a matter of control. And so for some of our colleagues or comrades who are sitting back and say something about Amazonia they don't want to deal with, they should think about their children, think about the future of their children, because it is a matter of control. We can see, for example, what is going on in Ukraine, the racism and all the like. And we have people, even in Africa, will be facing some difficulties in the coming days with things like vegetable oil and flour. And this is because it's been supplied from them and they have the control of it. So any effect that happens anywhere, if we in Africa are having some products that also we are selling to the entire world at any time when there's a war or something going on, the rest suffer. Anytime they will value us and value our interests when it comes to any sentiments that we have, so to take us serious. So this is some of the message that we can give to our fellow brothers and sisters who are staying back, so that they should come back on board and be part of the Amazonia, because it is our existence that's a risk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you there, Struggler Collins. Thank you for that comment. So I am going to, everybody just bear with me. We're trying to have this workshop start and end on time. So I'm going to give our honorable guest here 1 minute each. I know it's a little short to give us a closing remark. So Pa Kimeng.
Well, thank you very much, Jesse. You've done a wonderful job. And I thank the organizers of this forum. And we should know that this is just the sowing of the seeds, and that it should be repetitive and not one time, and that we should take our struggle out on the streets. We talk too much, and sometimes the thing is, how do you get this recording out to the various fora and to the various people? Because if there is no mechanism that you can duplicate and spread what we have discussed here, then it ends on this forum. And that is what I have noticed with our conferences for the past years, name it from Nigeria. It ends within the four walls of the hotel where the conference is held. So we should really come up with a mechanism that we get the information out to the people who are not present in the hall. With that said, I equally would like to say that Dr. Foster mentioned something which is very, very dear to me. And I said, planting the seeds where our younger generation, you should be able to get out of our contact zone and make friends with the host communities. Because those friends who are young in your age now, tomorrow they will be the leaders of that community. And that is how you sow the seed. If you don't make those friends now, then that's your era, that's your age, your generation growing up. You would never really have that connection when they reach the position of authority and governance. So it is right now, wherever you are, and as a student, you connect and be involved in what communities, because those people you are meeting now are of your age, and they will also evolve with you politically and otherwise, and you will be able to lie back. So again, I really commend and this program, and I wish it has a long life, and that we should try to implement what we say, because our problem is we talk too much and do very little. Thank you so much.
That's an awesome conclusion there, Pafro. Professor Anyangwe, your closing remark?
Yeah, 1 minute. I concur with what Fru has just said. I'm very eager to see the implementation of this and timelines for implementation. And this should not just end as a talking shop. Go we talk and talk and talk and go. And like he said, this is my problem with all the things we often do. Oh, this meeting here, this meeting here, this, and they just die in those meetings. We want to start seeing action on the ground. That when we spend time and talk, note is taken of what we've said, and then there's implementation. And then we can have a feeling, a sense that we're moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we all share that same continent, and I know that every single one on here is taking a vow to do something about this and get our communities back on track. Dr. Njimamo, your closing remark, please.
Thank you, Comrade Jesse, for this program. I think Comrade Pai Kimben made a very good conclusion there. Just to remind, the German community is also ready and willing to help other communities make such initiatives and move forward, because that is the road that all of us will have to take to arrive, because there is no way that everyone will do it in silo and will arrive there. So we have to see ways how to implement this and reorganize these communities, because one of the greatest destruction that came in was this LGA thing. And then imagine the whole of Germany now, you have to divide it to the 64 LGAs you have in Amazonia. Means all of them will be scattered and they cannot work again together as a team. But if you have this umbrella as a unit, we join the resources and work together. So this community mobilization is very essential, and we have to really get this moving to bring everything back on track as it was in 2018, 2019. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Special thanks to our guest speakers for today. And I know I'm personally taking a commitment for community remobilization, because I know how effective our revolution was when we had strong communities, and I hope everyone is doing the same. Thank you to the team that has put this together and initiated this first talk. Let's keep talking and implementing as we unravel more strategies to take our revolution forward. So everyone have a great Sunday, and we will let you know when we're having the second workshop in this series. Thank you all.
So long.
I think yesterday I was citing an example of 3 people in a room. By the following morning, one was dead. And the other 2 who were alive were arrested and taken to court. And as they were asking them, or as the proceedings were going on, the case was beginning to find one of them guilty. And they were going to make a pronouncement on him. You know what he asked? The one who's alive, he and I, we come from the same village. We've sworn on the Bible, sworn on the Quran, sworn on the sword, and yet I'm the one being found guilty. Please, I beg the judge, etc., take us to the village we come from. We have a shrine over there, and let us go and swear on that shrine and see whether I am innocent or he is the culprit, whether I'm the murderer or he is the culprit. That's all the question I asked these Catholic priests. They could not answer me, because they know you're not going to swallow any poison, but they know that we don't fear that Bible, we don't fear that Quran, But when it comes to our shrine, that one we dare not joke with it. We'll go and tell the truth. The white man who brought the Bible into my country, your continent, the Muslim who brought whatever it is, he's the same person who has gone and invented the lie detector test, the chemical interrogation test. I would dare you to go and line up some of your finest policemen, some of your finest heads, some of your finest, what you call it, judges. Make any allegations against me, you included. Whatever questions you want to ask, take me through a chemical interrogation. I will be the one who will pass. I wonder how many of you will pass. You know something, Chief? If we can learn to be bold enough to restore the value of truth in our society, then we will have justice. Without truth, we cannot get justice. We cannot get justice. And that's why we're suffering. Truth is so important. Do you know what Gandhi said? I don't need Gandhi to tell it to me. Gandhi said he was looking for truth in God, only to discover that God was in truth. How beautiful. How beautiful. You know? So, Chief, when it comes to accusing me, don't forget, 8 generals, 3 former heads of state, painfully executed. I, Rollins, will not turn around and commit the very crimes for which another man lost his life.